welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by and watching this video. So the Book World presents to you book reviews of different writers, genres across the globe and the lessons and learnings from my personal experiences. So with that, I would begin my today's review. And if you like the video, please do share it with your near and dear ones. So today's review is on one of the best trending book, and that is A Man Called Av, which is one of my personal favorite fiction. So yes, uh, it started off with a very slow pace for me, and then gradually when I became so interesting to know this 59-year old grumpy man, it became so relatable, so quintessentially a good reading, and that's the reason I am recommending you to read this book. But yes, whenever there will be time when you do you might feel a little more monotonous, but then it's okay. You have to have that patience and give a little more of your time, because the more you approach the end and you try to know this character, I'm sure you're going to fall in love towards the end. It is lot meaningful and it is also relatable to our daily lives. So with that, I will just give you a basic outline and what I have learned from this particular fiction. So when I began, it was roughly a few months ago, and I honestly started reading it out of a recommendation because I am always whimsical of buying bestsellers, and I'm little more thoughtful about the money and time I invest in a book. However, the outcome was excellent. So with that, what interested me was, the moment I was moving on through these episodes, or you can say chapters, I just fell in love with this 59-year-old grumpy old man. So, just like we all have felt this futile, or this futility of life. So, Av has gone through a lot of events and experiences just like any other person. Yes, he had lost his mother when he was 8 or 7 years old, and then he had to stay and live with his father, who was extremely, a silent character in his life. So that emotional support was always kind of in a loop for him, because he felt that absence of motherly instinct, love, care, comfort from his father. And that is where we see that the reflection of that humorous, little harsh, little bold, little strict character coming from his father. So after his father died when he was roughly around 16 or 17, and his father left him with a car and a house, and the car is also being talked about more and more as we look into this plot. And the car is a very old rusty Saab with whom he has a lot of connections. That car is not just any random purchase for him. It is a gift from his father. It is kind of entangled with so many memories of his childhood, his father, and so others. And then comes one of the important person in his life, where he already had lost hope of having anything or having a family. He finally meets the love of his life, which is who is Sonja. So Sonja is in the fiction is seen to be working in a school as a teacher, and they meet at a railway platform, and then the bond grows so and so that they get married and the hope of having children. But sadly, towards the end, again we see that there is an event coming up when Sonja loses her child, and results in a miscarriage that brings a loominess, a very isolated atmosphere between the two as an Av and his wife Sonja. But never mind, due to that accident, she not only loses her child, but she also became paralyzed from the lower down, and she had to spend the rest of her life on a wheelchair, and was greatly taken care of by her husband Av. So, that side of him, being a partner, being a loved partner, being a supportive partner, and a caregiver, is something that is worth praising. So even though he was upset of having not having a child, he was more worried about giving Sonja a beautiful life. However, after a few years, we see that even his wife dies to a fatal disease, and that what broke the hopes and faith of living a suitable life further. And that is where we see we are entering into Oak's different episodes of life. And from being a loner, an isolated person with no home, no purpose of life, we see that how he grows up. I mean, matures himself in terms of emotions and physical activities and so many other things towards the end. So this journey from Ove losing his mother, losing his father, losing his house, losing his wife, child, and also trying to find out a hope towards the end and becoming a better version is something that we all can relate to. Just like of there are moments, there are times when we do feel disconnected from life, when we feel that what are we here for? We are unable to find any purpose of life. We feel that it is futile, life is futile, and there is no hope of even living. And probably every one of us have felt this at least once in our life. But what is more important is that the moment you feel you need to cope up with your emotions, because everybody is out there struggling with something or the other thing. Some are struggling with their physical deformities. Some people are struggling because of the lack of finance, lack of proper income. There are 70% who are just simply living a life of survival. For them, even finding 2 meals per day, a place to live, is something to be bothered about. So difficulties are everywhere. It's about how you nurture them, how you find solution to those problems, how you find a balanced life. And more importantly, no matter what you do, you need to have that hope and spark and positivity in life to lead yourself, even if you are alone, to a direction where the result is beautiful. Now, after losing so many people in his life, it is bound that a character or a person is will become a little more cautious of his actions, little more cautious of his emotions, because he does not want to get hurt. And since there this is barrier of emotion which we see is that restricting him from mixing up with people, because he has this tendency that everything is temporary for him. The moment he hopes of having a person in his life important or random, there is a form of disassociation after a certain period of time, and that is what makes him more of a burden and fearful that he doesn't want to lose out on people. And when he has lost his close ones and there's nothing much to hope for, what he does is that he tries to uh, you know end his life. And the moment he starts planning of suicides by, like, inhaling carbon monoxide, poisoning himself, kind of thinking of uh, just shooting himself like with a shotgun, or planning of hanging. So the moment he does try to plan his suicidal motives, then and there we see few characters from his neighborhood coming up, just interfering his plan. And that is where he finds rays of hope one by one by one. And then we see one of the most important characters, which I personally really sink into, which I personally really like, is Parvana. So we see that there is a couple, Parvana and Patrick, who has 2 children. And it is this female character, Parvana, who actually, you know, tries to give a ray of hope to the character. So this 59-year-old grumpy old man, even though he dislikes being with people, is again being greeted by so many people. So there is Ryun and Anita on one hand, there is Parvani and Patrick on the other hand, there are the children of Patrick and Parvana, and there are other people coming up from the society he lives in, gradually trying to associate with Av. So, you know, it is more like that we can and also cannot do without people. So similar is the case of Av. And I feel that The main theme, what the Swedish author Frederick Backman is trying to teach us is that life is not about, hurling onto something. You know, it's about finding a purpose to live, finding a purpose to be positive and optimistic about life, finding the fairness of living a beautiful life. So he combines elements of, the way you can direct a life which is not only good for you but also beneficial for the others. You have to think of yourself not as an individual but also as a social, a citizen or a civilian. So, when you are bounded by these people around you and you find a cause of living and to serve in the society, your life and your actions, your skills becomes more valuable. So, what is more interesting towards the end is that this particular man, whom we see initially as a very grumpy man, someone who is very humorous, extremely strict, and yet disciplined in his life, is also towards the end, living in his community with so many beautiful people who are full of, life and purpose, and is in some way acting as a mirror self to of the character. And it is so beautiful to watch somebody grow out from an isolatory solitary man to somebody who is doing and serving towards the people and the society in general. And also, towards the end we see that, in his letter where he describes what he wants people to do during his funeral, is also so bringing us an emotional attachment to this particular character. So towards the end, we see that a person who really did not have anybody after Sonja, his wife, dies, is actually having more than 250, 300 people in his funeral, grieving, you know, of the absence and the death of. So this journey of him facing, having to face so many things in his life, uncertain events, uncertain experiences that brought him pain, struggle, loss, disturbance, and how he is overcoming it with the people around him who are so positive, who are looking forward towards building a progressive society. So, amidst all these pain, loss, and struggles, we find that he's a man of rule and order who transforms himself, builds his emotional bonds with everybody, and promotes unity among all, promotes love among all. And by the time we see that his ideas of, suicidal planning is slowly being discarded, eliminated, and being ignored. So with that, I believe that every one of us who are, struggling with our daily life battles, we need to understand that failures, loss, death, losing out on people are part and parcel of life. We cannot, make these things evitable for us. These are like inevitable. You cannot stop what life is giving out to you on plate. What you can do is to simply understand and learn out of it, overcome from your pain and struggle, and transform your life to something that will be meaningful, valuable not just to yourself but to the others. And to have a wonderful screen vision of it, you can also enjoy two adaptations of the novel. First one was directed by H. Holmes, which was played by a wonderful, wonderful character, and that is Rolf Lazagar. It's a Swedish movie which is based on the Swedish author Frederick Backman's A Man Called Ove, and is beautifully adapted, which was released of about 2015. And then there is another adaptation which is also my favorite, and it is casting starring Tom Hanks, which was released probably 2020 or 2022, and it is there on Netflix and all other platforms. So yes, you can watch both the adaptations. It's truly, truly doing justice to the fiction, which is A Man Called Oh. I recommend this book to you. I hope you have a happy reading. Comment on below on something that you would like to add on to this video. I hope you like this video and share it with me. Thank you.